official energy forecast for July 2018. Today is the 30th of June. The entire month of July will be about connection, connectivity, and collective transformation, but also personal transformation. And we just had this wonderful discussion here where you guys shared, the different aspects of transformation. And it can be difficult sometimes to observe this, when other people go through it. It is a lot easier to go through it ourselves, even though it can still be very challenging. It will matter how well we connect, how true our connections are, and how well we can keep our inner connection. It allows us to further integrate the resonances of synergy and collaboration that we've been working on since June. Overall, the energetic intensity of this month will force us to see through illusions, fake news, false attacks, and the fakeness really of our society and everything that comes with it, by trusting in our inner connection and inner relation. This will help us to trust in our inner feeling and allow for a greater clarity and discernment, whether it's our career, our family, our relationships, leading to more congruent and authentic choices that will lead up to 2020. So whatever is going on now here in July will have an impact here on these next 2 years. It is the deeper reflection that we are also afraid of. Our ego psychology makes us anxious and drives us into addictive coping mechanisms, holding on to illusions and even dysfunctionalities, only to avoid truth. So when we connect within, then these fears come up. So it's very normal in times like that we will experience, sort of a little bit of a panic inside or anxiety. Only a conscious and neutral examination of truth will allow us to make necessary corrections that can help us to break through the mud of distraction and avoidance. Yeah, so let's look into how we can contextualize all this in a more positive way. Here for July, in connection, we can experience interaction and express who we are. Without connecting with something, our life feels stressful, empty, and alone, and even worthless. We all need connection. From an energetic point of view, the most important skill to get through the next 2 years is the ability to connect within and with others. But in times of polarization and uncertainty, the ability to connect and build relationships can be difficult. So as soon as our survival instincts are triggered, our ego takes over, and the continued friction between people, genders, nations, economies, politics, media, and even earth changes will make people around us act out of ego. Our ability to stay neutral, to stay empathetic, and to adapt to whatever needs to be done is in de-escalating. That's what we need here for July. We need to learn how to de-escalate while everything around us is escalating still. Without a stable inner connection and a supportive community around us, many will feel lost, lonely, purposeless, and vulnerable. So being able to connect becomes our lifeline. It can make us feel alive, and it gives us purpose. Being connected gives us the feeling of being loved, accepted, and safe. But beside the joys of connection, it can also induce obsession, anger, rage, vulnerability, pain, fear, loss, betrayal, envy, jealousy, control, manipulation, you name it. All of these unhealthy variations and their behaviors will be part of the revelations through this built-up here of correctional truth energies in July. Our connectivity and willingness to face our own darkness will be tested. Big time, guys. So what it's all about here now is that we allow ourselves, to connect. And we've already talked about this in so many ways, here within the Sacred Self-Healing community, we talk about this from literally every angle. And by the way, big recommendation for you. On July the 7th, we have this workshop that's free for you called How Our Journey Affects Our Relationships. This is a subject that comes up almost every day. And that is what happens when we go into this, inner reflection and in this transformation. What happens with our loved ones? What happens with the people around us? And there's often resistance there. And this resistance is something that you will feel this month, not so much on this personal level, but on this level of the more you try to make a stance for yourself, the harder it will feel at first. It will feel like mud. And in that workshop, we're going to talk about, these self-healing workshops. They help us in a practical sense. So we're going to talk about what we can do, how we can word things, how we can, help our loved ones, to not take things personal. So this is the energy tip here for entire July. Don't take everything personally. And don't fall for believing that you're the only one that is going through this right now. Okay? This is a collective phenomenon. So the social chaos, the going out of going nuts, going out of control, and terrorism, and deeply disturbing inner and outer turmoil. Those are all signs of times, signs of these transformative times. And I said this here in the discussion a few minutes ago. These next 2 years are the most transformative times in human history, and we all chose to not only participate but also to witness the whole thing. So we got to stay calm now, guys. I know it's tough, but the hardest part is facing our inner darkness, and you guys have already done quite a bit of work there. So you don't really need to be afraid of this. Do you need to be afraid of other people freaking out? Not really. I mean, yes, that is scary. What you're going to see, how people react to this. But it doesn't mean that everybody's your enemy or that the world is out there to get you. What it means is that you need to, feel into your center, into your heart, and make choices based on that, based on, like what feels safe, where does the energy feel good, where does it feel conducive, which people feel supportive. I've had this in my life here in the last couple of months, that I made decisions that there are certain people that I will just simply not be with anymore. Okay? This doesn't make them mean people or anything. It's just not conducive for me. And me pretending that everything's okay or just sort of looking over it is not helping them. It's enabling it. So I'm staying away. I don't need to vilify them. I don't need to judge them either. I just stay away. And that's something that I would recommend to you guys as well. So the time markers for you guys. We're going to have, somewhat here the next 3, 4 days, 5 days. So July, till the July 4th, till after 4th of July. A really sort of crazy time. Okay. Lots of anger, lots of weirdo stuff with people. Okay. Lots of mental, psycho weirdo stuff coming forward. And I'm seeing a lot of issues with computers, with maybe traffic. So this time does not come in as a good time for traveling till after 4th of July. It is, however, good for connecting. So if you have to make a choice, whether you want to go somewhere far away, to be with loved ones or family members, well, maybe sit this out this month, and connect with your neighbors instead, or have them come to you. Because there's a lot of radical events that are around this next week here. This purge energy that is going on does not feel good. So I would use this time here next week to stay a bit more closer to your center, closer to your home. The week after that, there's a pivotal element to July 8th, 9th, and 10th and 11th. Around that time, there is a turnaround. Okay, so we will feel energy suddenly shifting, like completely shifting. This is, by the way, July 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th is the time that I see where the cryptocurrency market is going to bounce back into this forward movement, where we're going to see a doubling up of the market volume within a very short amount of time, like 2 months maybe. Sort of the reverse of what happened in December and January. And then, around the 12th, that's where we have a partial solar eclipse. It's sort of another increment of this heat building. So we're going to see a lot of acting out in terror, acting out in hatred, racial hatred, but also these whole last 2 weeks have had this already, this like acting out towards the powerless, children, animals, people that are already, basically lying in the dirt. This lynching, that we've talked about here at the beginning of the session, comes in very strongly at around the eclipse time. So 12th, 13th, 14th. And there's another solar eclipse that is coming up in August. So these are like these increments, like one after another. Then, like the middle of July 15th onward, till the beginning 20s, third week of July is a really, really good time for healing. This is where a lot of the karmic stuff is going to hit us. You're going to see this so clearly, whether it's karmic family stuff or karmic collective stuff. It'll be very, very obvious. It's a good time for healing. It's a good time for really going into this transformation that allows us to break out of our own conditioning. And then towards the end of July, the fourth week, July 24th, it literally feels like there's a revolution coming, okay? I can't say, I don't think it's actually going to be like the French Revolution in that way, but there's something that needs to happen, and you guys know this from me. I come from a country where all this has already happened. So from my perspective, that's not a big deal. But for most of our countries where you guys are coming from, it still needs to happen, and that is empowerment through women. This needs to happen now. This is coming in the end of July energies, maybe with some really powerful female politicians or activists. But there's something about that will lead to this. That will lead to this transformation to be pushed forward, and it's going to come through women. Maybe through these ongoing scandals, because we're still just the tip of the iceberg here. There's more to come, and that betrayal there, and also the revelation about some past things, like how things were portrayed in the past, and suddenly it will come to our attention that this was all a big lie. Of course, also within our relationships. So there is this empowerment through women can also affect our relationships, guys. And women suddenly walk out of their marriages because they just realize one day that what they've been enabling was degrading with them. And then, on the last week in July, that's chaos energies again. So there's a lot of that weirdo stuff that comes back, literally, like being out of our minds, drowning in mental and emotional storms, chaos, drowning. very strong revolutionary elements that are coming in there also as far as Earth changes is concerned. So the end of July, a lot of stuff, guys, a lot of stuff coming in. A lot of loss and separation. And some of that through massive storms. So I don't know if you've been observing this, but there has been a lot of weird weather patterns as of late. And these are, that mostly in regards to heat, in regards to drought. And there's going to be a lot of water that is coming back in. Water and fire and wind. So I don't know if this means that we're going to have, a really strong hurricane season or typhoon season. All this, I don't really need to go deeper into this. You guys are already familiar with this because this has been we've been feeling this for a long time. So earth shaking, volcanoes, and lots of storms. That's kind of like the feel here for earth changes, especially at the end of July. All right. So there's going to be stuff that we will have to deal with, but we already know where this is, or what this also will facilitate. It will facilitate this transformation, this needed transformation. So really all that we need to do is stay connected within, because that allows us to connect to others better, but without getting pulled into the drama, without getting pulled into the intensity of everything. And if you feel a calling, to work with children, to work with anything that has to do with empowering women or femininity, then go for it. Because this is a good month for that, to start something like maybe a business, that has to do with that. It's a really, really good time. Don't worry about the chaos that is going on around you. You don't have to take that personal. Know that you're not alone. So part also of this synergy and collaboration energy is that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Just go with others. You're much stronger together. Seek a support system if you are in need. Ask for help, reach out, or be the one that helps others, that allows others to reach out to you. This will change your life in a way that you will be able to connect with your true self and your vision of self and how that fits into the society in the future. I will help you with that. So yeah, looks like there's a little bit of work ahead, but nothing new really. Nothing that you guys really need to be freaked out about. Something that is already our new normal, right? Isn't it? I mean, working through our inner darkness, working through our inner transformation is no different from working through outer transformation, guys. It happens in layers, and there's ups and downs with it. There's pros and cons, very beautiful things, very scary things sometimes. But in the end, it makes us all stronger. I want to look at the July calendar with you because we try to respond to these energies through setting up the energy sessions that way. We're gonna continue working on inner heart connection, relationships, and so forth. If you're not in the Heart Warrior program, then you get to participate in all these sessions for free. Then consider coming to the transmissions if you need some deeper work. We have a Heart Warrior webinar for all Heart Warriors and the new ones that are coming in July. Then we're going to take the first couple of days in the month. We usually take that for clearings. that all the heart warriors get. And now we have a special here where we give away a clearing for everyone who signs up for the Sacred Self-Healing course and pays in full, a reading, and a roadmap for someone for anybody who signs up for the Sacred Self-Healing community. Now it gets really important now that we have this like feedback. And then we're kicking off with a remote prayer session on Friday. Then we're going to go through this the relationship aspects on Saturday in the free workshop for you. So everything you see on the calendar here in green, those are free sessions, Sacred Self-Healing members. And then we have something new, a new transmission modality called Future Self. And I'm not going to say much about this other than that it's phenomenal. It's not for beginners, but it doesn't require any specific knowledge. All it requires is a good sense of self, a way, or you need to know how to connect with your true self. So it's basically the third in this true self, unified self, and future self. Those are 3 sessions that, in my view, are probably the most important ones. So that's a new transmission modality on July 8th, so mark your calendars. Then we're going to continue working with the masculine and feminine energies. As most of you found out, this is quite significant in this time, mostly because there's a lot of our conditioning hidden in our masculine and feminine energies. Then we're going to do the etheric perception intensive. That's the chakra intensive. The second weekend in July, we have another Sacred Self-Healing meeting, this time talking about ego control, step 2, followed up by grace integrity the week after, grace manifestation, where we continue working on, increasing our heart field. A healing circle workshop, that's the one where we do the energy session, and then the webinar workshop right after, karma and karmic relationships on the 21st of July. Another Sacred Self-Healing meeting on that day, step 16. And then grace integrity again, and shadow work. So shadow work is quite important in this month, guys. If you've never done shadow work before, I'd strongly recommend that. Followed by the true self session, the future self session, which I will, sort of bundle up with the true self, because that is a very, very tumultuous time here, July 27th. And then we're going to end the month of July with a current energies webinar, like this one, where we look at the forecast for August. And probably the most, direct work with all of this is in the transmissions, and especially in the marathons, as many of you have already experienced. And someone, if you really need to go through, a specific time to kickstart your transformation, that's what we developed the Heart Warrior program for. So that's 3 months, weekly energy coaching with Jeff and I, going through all the transmissions on the calendar and all the workshops, in constant sort of reminder to connect within. That's what that is for. And I'm very proud to announce that our next year's workshop, 2019, called Sacred Summer Solstice, is going to take place in Iceland. Whoa. So June 20th till 22nd in Iceland. We're going to try to work with local travel rental car and tour organizers, and create a few sort of tours for you, because it's so beautiful there. It's really not worth it to just come there for 3 days, even though the workshop will probably be like fantastic, just in that setting. But if you want to stay longer, then let me know. I'm going to organize a few tours for the people who come to the workshop that you can sign up for when you're there. Okay, so you must assume then that I see a future for next year. So there is going to be a future, and the world's not going to go under in July. Okay, and we're going to be horseback riding and sitting on a mountaintop together where the sun never sets next year around the summer solstice and the Vidnaman is night sun in Iceland. Have a wonderful transition, a wonderful weekend, a good 4th of July for those of you who live in the United States. Don't let yourself get into dramas, dragged into dramas. Don't get dragged into lynch stuff either and scapegoating. We don't need this anymore. Those are all just distractions of the ego. Take good care, guys.